Hello. Music has changed. That's interesting. Oops. Everything render. Do, do, do. Okay. We still got square leaves. It's okay. They'll catch up. There we go. No weapons. Awesome. Oh my god, that's so far away. Okay. What's the best way to get here? Oh, that's got to be it right there. Okay. Okay. Yep. All right. And we're off. I hope everybody's having a good day. And I hope I find a pipe here sometime soon. That would really help me out. Maybe over here. It's gonna be a short one today. It can be a short stream. I have to be out of here by 8. So we'll see what we can get done before then. Can't hurt. Can upgrade you to Sama when you get your doctorate. Oh my god, I'd be so honored. Where is everybody? Usually there's not like it's ever really popping, but there's usually a few more people than 6 by now. That's okay. It can be a nice little exclusive stream. Shit. Ugh. Tumors. Either tumors or like menstrual tissue, you know, or some you know, psychosexual conflation of the two. No, I can't lurk. Nope. There they are. Okay, you can lurk if you want to. You don't need to say anything if you want to.
問題ない。シュウ君っていつまでひな子のこと相棒って呼ぶの？相棒なんて呼び方、小学生の男子みたい。
Hey, now I have a
相棒は相棒さ。
a bar.
俺は相棒を女扱いしてない。
そうだな。された覚えもない。
立ち話は終わりだ。行くぞ。
Come on. I need a weapon. I used to have one, but it's broken. What do I do? I saw the first episode. Oh yeah, you're behind. Last time was good. Last time we made progress. Had a big boss battle. I gotta make every possible detour and see if I can pick up a weapon. It'd be pretty whack if there aren't any available. Finished a video script today, so that's nice. Uh-oh. They're getting bolder. Ugh, I love how they move. It's so gross. Yeah, this shit's spreading. Yo. Is the video on? It started out quite short. I wanted to make it very short. No, it's just sort of normal length. It's about, broadly it's about Jubilee debates, I guess. More narrowly, it's about the Andrew Callahan Jubilee debate and how it's the kind of the only good Jubilee debate so far. Almost entirely because almost entirely because Andrew is not doing what the producers want him to do. And it's, you know, I am using it as a sort of opportunity to explain my ritual theory of propaganda. That propaganda should be understood as a ritual more than any kind of media style or media strategy. So, that's what it's about. No, creepy. It's gonna get up and kill me. It's gonna kill me. Oh my god. It didn't. Okay. Why is that locked? There's a key somewhere. Shit. I feel Dominican today. Scotch a feeling Dominican, Hampton. I think everybody should go watch Dragula. I started season 5 of Dragula yesterday in the Halloween spirit, you know. It's just such a fun drag show. Very focused on the artistry of it. You can skip all the drama, it's fine. The drama is goofy, as in most as in most reality shows, competition shows. But the looks themselves, oh my god, they're amazing. So that's what I'd recommend. I also, in preparation for our next podcast recording on Monday, I watched the original Peter Pan last night. Man, what a frustrating movie. I was so charmed by it, and then the Indians showed up, and it's so much, it's like sickeningly racist. I like much worse than I remember. It really was quite hard to watch. Any thoughts on cancel culture and ways to rehabilitate figures like Andrew Callahan? Yeah. Yeah, disappointing behavior from him, you know. I don't think that rehabilitation is something that is up to society. I think it's up to the individual, and it seems, I mean, it's hard to say. Who knows what goes on in people's personal lives. It seems like Andrew has kind of, you know, at least crisis managed that situation well. There's no way to guarantee that people are acting ethically in their personal lives. There just isn't. You can just, the only resource we have is how people behave in their public lives. And so a person like Andrew in that situation, his responsibility is to say, fuck, I'm so sorry that, like, this, here's my explanation for why I behaved. It's not an excuse, but I just want people to, you know, understand what was going in through my mind at the time, and I'll behave differently from here on out. And then you can either trust them or not trust them based on, I don't know, whatever wishy-washy kinds of preconceptions you have about them. And then, like, you know, if you're canceled in that kind of situation, you need to you gotta do some groveling. But I don't think it's up to, I don't think it's up to society to rehabilitate anybody. That's their job. You ran afoul of society's rules. It's up to you to demonstrate that those rules actually matter to you in the future. Or just remove yourself from public life, which is also a strategy. It is a strategy that he chose not to go with, and I gotta say, I'm glad he didn't, because he's doing some of the best journalism that exists right now. And like, I just don't have I don't know, it's like the kind of thing that I slightly, you know, worry about you receiving judgment from. But, like, I think that what Channel 5 is doing, given how Andrew Callahan responded to those, to that situation, man, I think the one outweighs the other. I think it'd be different if he behaved differently, you know, if he went on the just a complete defensive and I did nothing wrong, and, you know, et cetera, but he didn't. He did apologize, and you either have to trust that somebody's going to change their behavior or choose not to. And given the kind of work that he's doing, I'm going to choose to believe he's changed. And that might be wishful thinking, but there's no way to know whether he's actually changed, and I don't consider that my responsibility. Saw a skunk a couple months ago. Skunks are underrated. They're very beautiful animals, you know? Like, their fur, they're so pretty and so smelly. Hi, bot. You think the left hasn't too many purity tests? Keeps us from actually creating a united and strong, with the capital P, capital F, popular front. I don't think that our problem is purity tests as such. I think that our problem is trusting our media infrastructure to be like good stewards of our purity tests, if that makes sense. You know, like it kind of goes back to my thing of like, when you're talking to people online, you're not actually talking to people, you're talking to projections of your own everything, your own insecurities, your own thoughts, beliefs, goals, whatever. And when that's the case, like, there's always going to be this smoke screen between you and whoever you're talking to, whoever you're trying to apply this purity test to. And you're treating whatever medium that you're deploying that purity test through, you're trusting that medium to convey it properly, and you're also trusting that medium to convey information about that person properly. There's so many people whose opinions we would just discount entirely that we talk with online if we actually knew who they were, you know, actually knew that if they were sincere or not, which you can tell a lot easier when you talk to somebody in person. I don't think it's bad to have, I don't know if I would, purity test is such a loaded term. Like, I don't think it's bad to have standards for who you hang out with and who you find common cause with. I think that's normal and good. But we can't pretend that we're capable of doing that online. You know what I mean? Oh my god! Oh my god! Ah! Oh! Oh my god! Anyway. Okay, I think I lost him. Oh my god. Yeah. Almost every social dysfunction we have right now can be brought back to how we communicate on social media. Almost every single one. It has ruined our capacity to actually communicate with each other. And like, I don't think that that's a reason, this is gonna sound, maybe a little counterintuitive, but I don't think that's a reason to abandon social media. I don't think that's not how communication technology works. If you buy into Benedict Anderson's idea of imagined communities or whatever, which I do, then you also believe, which I also do, that literacy and the introduction of literacy to civilization was basically resulted in millions and millions and millions of deaths. Like that, literacy is what resulted in, people being able to exchange ideas about the possibilities of how to organize themselves, in an ever increasing population base. That's what resulted in revolutions. But it's also what resulted in a lot of other good things, And I don't think that it's possible. Many regimes have tried, and it's not possible to get rid of every book. It's not as impossible just because the internet requires a lot of physical infrastructure, but it's impossible to get rid of the internet with the way things are now. Was there a Peter Pan remake? You're talking about Hook. What you fucking talking about Hook Peter Pan remake? Ridiculous. Hook is not a Peter Pan remake. I'll have you know it's a Peter Pan sequel. And it's extremely good. Sorry, Luke. My questions are too much or not fun. No. Not at all. It's a fun thing to talk about. Important thing to talk about, I think. TLDR, you are the problem. No. Did social media ruin anything, or was it already heading that way? Well, I mean, to what extent can we say that anything is heading anyway? I know that's like, I don't know, maybe like a little bit of a cop out, but I think that whatever, like sort of broad patterns. Maybe I'm just asking you to be a little more specific, I guess. Like broad patterns of history wise, like I think what's happening now, given what's happened over the past 500 years or so since the beginning of, I mean, maybe 400 years. The beginning of the Enlightenment is like late 1600s, maybe. And I think that what is happening, I do think that social media is basically a child of the Enlightenment. I think that's that social media and the internet is basically like an Enlightenment project, and its failure, I think, is kind of also going to end the Enlightenment as a project, which it should. That's a good thing, you know. We're past that. We're past the idea that being in a secular society means that we can fundamentally understand the nature of reality and program it and control it in that way. It's not the case. And the attempt to do so, and the attempt to present reality to human beings in that way has been hugely damaging, I think. Sorry, and read the rest of your question. So Fox News was pretty able to stop Obama's presidency in its tracks, and that was before social media. Yeah, I mean, I think my answer applies to that as well. Republic of Letters, yeah. Okay. Big guy. Is this our pyramid head?
Nani are? Yada, 気持ち悪い。
あいつらまさかあの気持ち悪いので街を飲み込む気なのか。
化け物が多すぎる。
迂回しよう。街を突っ切るのは危険すぎる。
私たちの千鶴や、どうしてこんな。
中学校の方へ向かってそこから山道を登ろう。だいぶ遠回りになるが街は避けられる。よし、行こう。
Yes, thank you, Ronan. Yeah, the Enlightenment is ideologically kind of reliant on the idea of an elite. It's technocracy, you know? Doesn't have to be, but I would argue that some kind of technocratic belief is sort of at the core of Enlightenment values, such as they are. Oh my god. I'm a metaphor for trauma. Do you get it? Do you get that it's about trauma? I think this game is about, well, no, never. I was about to say that I think this game is about more than trauma, but I don't. Silent Hill is always about trauma. So it's fine. It's grandfathered into the, or I guess grandfathered out of the elevated horror accusation. Maybe... I mean, I guess I'm supposed to go this way. You blame Nietzsche more than the Enlightenment? I'd call Nietzsche a product of the Enlightenment. The idea that there could be, like, middle-class, non-theological scholars is a product of the Enlightenment. I understand that that's, like, really broad, but, like, the Enlightenment was very broad. It's a very axial age, you know? A completely new world order, if you will. It was, like, completely new construction of how we should organize ourselves as people. You know, like before the Enlightenment, like that really is the part of the idea that the Enlightenment introduces to world civilizations is class mobility. Class mobility was never an assumption of like a life properly lived before the 1600s. Has expanded the monsters is enough for your liking. Yeah, that last boss battle was really, really good. Really, really good design. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, no, 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 no! Ah! Oh my god. Oh no! Ah! Oh my god, no! No, that one's grosser! That one's grosser than my... No! Ah! Ugh! Oh, I hate it! Oh! Ow! I'm so sorry. I'm just, kind of panicking. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. God damn! Okay. Lord. Hey, camera. Whoops. Tawi. You're a defining critic of the philosophy of Enlightenment. To me, you're describing capitalism more than the Enlightenment. Yeah, capitalism is an Enlightenment product also. You can't talk about capitalism without talking about the Enlightenment. I mean, like, yeah, like, Marx is arguably, I think, very arguably an Enlightenment thinker, you know? Here's a guy who thinks that, the core of all human suffering is economics, and that economics can be fixed as a matter of science. It's a very Enlightenment style thought. With Nietzsche, yeah, like, his entire analysis of, you know, how people make themselves, sure. I don't know, I just don't really see how the sort of will to power stuff that he was arguing people are capable of is in any way counter to Enlightenment thinking. I don't know, though. I'm not that well versed in Nietzsche, so you're very welcome to assume I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I'm just kind of boned, Corbin. Thanks for asking. I've been looking for another, like, pry bar or something, for the past half hour. Still stabby. It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's okay. We're fine. Shit. Oh. Do I go this way? No. Fuck. I'm gonna die. None of this is helpful. I need a weapon. I think Silent Hill 2 is so beloved. I think it's kind of uniquely weird. Just sort of aesthetically. I think also Silent Hill 1... I think Silent Hill 2 is when the creatures started being a little more legible. And it was easier to appreciate, like, the design of them. It's also just a really well-written game. It's the kind of game where it's like, I doubt that, you know, every shred of aesthetic is meant to symbolize something, but it does, like, lend itself really well to interpretation. People love to interpret. What if I go through here? Boop, 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 doo. What do you think your thoughts on Indy being deemed ineligible for Best Actor at the Oscars next year? Oh, the Oscars can go fuck themselves. As was it Bong Joon-ho who was like, the Oscars is not a very what was he just said? The Oscars is not an important festival. To call it a festival also is what a burn. Europa Universalis 4. What's that game about? Just think Nietzsche's philosophy set the foundation for our culture of narcissism that allows us to use our media technologies for confirmation porn. I don't think you can properly blame Nietzsche for that. I think there's plenty of forces at work before and after Nietzsche's time that were themselves products of Enlightenment thinking, largely, that produced that. Like Nietzsche was influential, but I don't know. I rankle at any kind of like I don't know, focus on the the individual scholar as like they caused this. Not that that's necessarily what you're saying, but that itself is like, you know, so often sort of a smokescreen for or a shortcut to some kind of great man theory of science, of literature, of politics, of philosophy, whatever. Everything was this way before, but then this guy came on the scene. No, nobody just like comes up with shit entirely on their own, ever. They are influenced by other people. Those people are influenced by people. They in turn influence others. It's all, everything is the same thing, you know? I'm seeing one battle after another on Saturday. Wasn't Nietzsche's fault, that was capitalism. Yep. I do need to read more Nietzsche, though. Yeah, big man fallacy. Big dick fallacy. Yeah, some freaking guy said a thing and now things are crazy. Again, not that that's what you were saying. People grossly misinterpreted Nietzsche's work. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say similar things, that he's a lot more complicated than that assumption. Yeah, appropriation by the Nazis in the same way that Marx was appropriated by the Soviets. You know, there's definitely a closer relationship there, but the way that, like, especially the way that Engels interpreted Marx's work, and then, you know, kind of filtered it in a way that made it a vehicle for authoritarianism in Soviet society. Like, I don't think that Marx is to blame for that, you know. The host hearing, is Donald Trump a product of the Salem witch trials, and having to pause before, I guess. Supposing we are the morbid zoos, there is zookeeper. It's me. It's me. I don't like that noise. Ooh. Oh my god! Ah! No! Oh, fuck this! No! Ah! Ah! Okay. This is good design. I like this one. This is so fucking scary. I don't... Oh my god. It kind of seems like I am supposed to go that way. But I don't know how I'm gonna get past that thing. Big disaster. Oh, disaster for me. Cool book collection. Oh, thank you. Madman. If I were a better streamer, I'd put some effort into my background. Maybe someday. Boy monsters. Okay, I need to go back, I think. I need to go back in that direction. Oh, this sucks. Oh, I really don't want to do that. There's a ladder. Where? You can't climb this ladder. Ugh. 8,000 of asking for a bookshelf index. I've got too many chores. I need to have enough time to do my chores and also watch an episode of Dragula here and again. I need a weapon. Oh god. Yeah, how disciplined and organized I am. One time, my mom, my own mother, said something to me to the effect of, it really is pretty impressive how much you've gotten done, considering that you're not a very driven person. She's so right. Where is it? Hi, William. How's it going? Huh? You're about to have lunch? It is almost 7. My mom says the same thing to me. Me and Hampton. Just twins on two sides of a river, huh? Boo-doo. I don't believe Nietzsche is any more responsible for the West being the way it is than Charles Darwin is, or Thomas Jefferson, or John Locke. Yeah, I agree. Oh my god. What am I gonna do? Oh my god. Maybe I can just run past it. Let's go! Shit! Going the wrong way! No! You can ask nicely. Yeah. Darwin's theories directly led to the race sciences that would fuel imperialism, racism in the 1800s and 1900s. Yeah, and like the other thing to remember about this is that it's not like, and this is really important, and it seems like in conversations like this just like gets forgotten, right? That people are also their own people, you know? Like Darwin didn't cause race science. He provided a theory that people who were already inclined to, you know, believe in super hateful ideologies or whatever, were then able to co-opt and then wrap into their own shitty beliefs. They did that. Darwin didn't do that, you know? Yeah, Ronan's got it. Okay. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Faster. Faster, please. Oh, my lord. Owie! Keep going, keep going! Go! Ah! Okay, where did I take myself now? It's like blaming the Matrix for the red pill movement. It's a good analogy, yeah. Okay, let's go this way. Okay, here's our dead end. Yeah. But we're clearly supposed to go down there and just find another way, right? Second most annoying on Elite Free Will. Uh-huh. A hint on what new video is going to be about. Oh, I just talked about it. You must have not been here yet. It's not to you know, toot my own horn, I guess. But I think I've made some serious headway in defining propaganda, which is has been a huge like pain in the ass for communications scholars since communications was like birthed as a discipline after the World Wars. Propaganda is really, really hard to define in a way that accounts for every contingency, you know? And if your definition can't account for every contingency, then it's not a good definition. It's not actionable or workable or applicable in any way that's going to be like useful communicatively. So loosely my definition of propaganda is as like an instantiated example of or I guess like an instantiated example of political behavior as ritual. I think propaganda is ritualized political behavior that's been set up as like a performance, you know, that's been sort of aestheticized, and that sort of fixes the problem of what to do with future technologies, future mass media technologies that haven't been invented yet. It solves the problem of like, well, what about propaganda that you like? Does propaganda have to be a lie? Can like a propagandist be a true believer? It doesn't matter. If it's ritualized political behavior that's being performed, then it's propaganda. And so I'm basically using Jubilee debates as an example of what that looks like in the modern day. And all this is, of course, why we have all these people like seemingly completely earnestly saying that Charlie Kirk was like just some guy who went to campuses, you know, and he just really believed in open debate and open inquiry. No, he fucking didn't. Be real, you know. But the reason we're primed to think that, the reason so many people, I guess, are primed to think that is because debate itself has been propagandized, you know. The content of debate means nothing. You can be as logical or as fallacious as you want, and it's not going to fucking matter, because the point of a debate in modern society is not to convince people or to change anybody's mind. It is to perform the ritual of open inquiry. So my problem with some of these examples is downplaying Nietzsche's own reactionary beliefs intended. Not necessarily. Nobody's made any statement, you know, I don't think, unless somebody has, and I've been paying attention to the chat enough. He wasn't a Nazi or racist, but he wanted a strict hierarchical society. Yeah, I mean, that can be the case, and it still doesn't necessarily need to be the case that he's responsible for, you know, everything the Nazis did, or the way that modern society structures itself. He holds some responsibility for it, for sure. But I don't think that, you know, like, who's another example? I mean, like, I don't like Ricardo, you know, but I think that Ricardo's theories have been, you know, were absolutely co-opted into, you know, Austrian economics and that kind of thing. But I don't think Ricardo is responsible for every wrong thing with capitalism. Hi, Carlos. If everything is material conditions, then why does the Enlightenment or propaganda even matter? Everything is not material conditions, that's why. So what type of mass communication would you say is not propaganda? What type of mass communication is not propaganda? I mean, it's plausible that there's no mass communication that isn't propaganda. That the two are, if not synonymous, cross over a lot. Because presumably, like, mass communication kind of assumes a center from which information is emanating, right? And I don't know if that's the kind of thing. There's got to be some kind of counterexample. Mass communication that's not propaganda. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. If we have a semantic disagreement, it could be. People find it annoying, and they shouldn't. Semantics are important. semantic disagreements are not a bad thing. They are an opportunity. This sounds so dorky, but it's true. When you find a semantic agreement or a semantic disagreement, you're locating a point at which there is a miscommunication happening. Because I don't think that like fundamentally, I don't think that most people want very different things. And like, it is really just a matter of getting people to, say what they actually believe in a way that is actually communicable, and then at that point, then we can talk about actual disagreements, right? Like if you believe that some people should rule and others should serve, then I'm probably gonna and you make that clear to me instead of like couching all your language in some kind of like free speech democratization bullshit. But that's actually what you believe. I want to give you every opportunity to say that that's not what you believe, because once you do, then I'm afraid you're an enemy of mine. There's not a whole lot you can do to change that. Not sure if propaganda is necessarily bad. I'm not sure propaganda is necessarily bad either, but what I do think is that, and this is where I need to do some work on my definition, I think, and think through some of my own contingencies. I don't know if, I think that you can be this is another question about propaganda. Is it still propaganda if you're aware of it? Or does propaganda rely on manipulativeness and subterfuge in that way? And I'm not sure. I'm leaning toward no. I'm leaning toward the idea that you can be aware of propaganda and it's still propaganda. And if that's the case, the reason I think this is because I think the analogy that best illustrates what I'm talking about is music. That like music is kind of doing what propaganda does. That like it's setting a rhythm of behavior. It's really hard to dance out of time with music unless you're a white person. I'm so sorry, I'm kidding. Some white people can dance. Some Mexicans can't dance. I can't dance. But maybe that's my white side. Who knows? So, like, by the same token, it's really hard to communicate out of step with the propagandistic, rhetorical rhythm with the rhetorical rhythm that propaganda has set, But that doesn't necessarily mean that the rhythm is a bad thing. Dancing is fun. Music is fun. And you can be aware that what you're of what like the band is doing and what rhythm is doing to you physically, and still have the sort of embodied experience that music gives to you. I think that propaganda is invoking an embodied experience. And I think that as long as you're aware of that experience, and that everybody is aware of that experience, and that that's what we're doing here, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to ritualize something like debate. But if we're going to ritualize debate, then we actually have to incorporate the features of debate that we think are beneficial as like an aspect of that ritual. So, we can't have people like insulting each other and still say that this was a debate. We can't have people, using the sorts of obvious logical fallacies that Charlie Kirk would deploy as a matter of course, and still say that he was engaging in a skilled debate. He wasn't. That's not debate anymore, So same way that all heavy objects can be turned into weapons. Interesting, yeah. This is still propaganda if you agree with absolutely. Yes. Yeah, my definition solves that problem. Just say your own work is propaganda. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Did you go into Russia's modern propaganda? No, not in this video. I don't know if what I'm doing is propaganda because I'm like, I think that certain aesthetic qualities of what I do is potentially propagandistic. Like, I think that I think that what trips people up a lot of the time about social media is that the words themselves, the things you're encountering, it's a media, it's the McLuhanist medium is the message argument, right? Like the words you're encountering are not necessarily propagandistic. What's propagandistic is the position that you're in when you encounter them, you know. That's the rhythm being set. You know, the fact that it is text you're encountering primarily is the rhythm being set. I think that there's a certain rhythm to my videos and video essays in general that could be arguably propagandistic of a certain kind of, but then I'm not even I'm not sure what for. Something maybe. But I don't think that, I don't know. I think there's potentially a ritualized aspect about what I do. I think there's a ritual aspect to all encounters with anything TV-like, and YouTube is TV, essentially. That's why it's called YouTube. Propaganda is just a use case of comm systems. Yep. As a person who studies media and grew up in Oklahoma, does this football culture consistently blow your mind? Yeah, football culture, any kind of sports culture. Sports is just like ritual combat, you know? And sports, I think, is a pretty good example of the kind of propaganda that is not necessarily like societally damaging, particularly. Like it can be. But it, like all of this is kind of lives in the realm of it's possible, you know, and that's one of the problems with propaganda that like I think it's I don't think there's any communication scholar that would disagree that certain pieces of information in one setting is not propaganda and the same piece of information in another setting is, you know, so I operate with good faith and intellectual honesty. Well, I appreciate that. And then like this is the other thing, right? Like and like Hampton makes a good point here. Your work is propaganda, though not the status quo. The thing about like part of what is propaganda, what was arguably propagandistic about my work is that I still work on YouTube, and YouTube I think is an extremely propagandistic infrastructure. Communications infrastructure. It's like through no decision of my own am I doing propaganda. The propaganda in my stuff is simply because of the fact that the rhythm has been set, and in rejecting the rhythm and trying to dance off tune or sing off key, I am still referencing the status quo. You know, I'm still treating it as if it's real, because it is real, obviously. Can you be affected by your own propaganda? Undoubtedly, yes. If you analyze Parasite for its Marxist themes, I don't think that's propaganda. No, I also don't think it's propaganda. But depending on the setting that you're in, it may turn into propaganda. Which kind of football? Hampton, come on. Which kind of football do you think? The name of the like, the share, and subscribe. Amen. Like truly, I mean, like look at the sorts of ritual behaviors that we've fallen into with YouTubing, you know, the memes of like and subscribe, like that's a ritual behavior. Just because it has a, just because calls to action like that are demonstrated to produce an increase in the number of, like that, it's still a ritualistic behavior. You're invoking the spirit of the like and share and subscribe to the, you know, the god of the algorithm. Final Destination video is more propagandistic than a lot of the other videos. Yeah, maybe, yeah. A strong appeal to follow your own creative drive. Yeah, I mean, but now we're like sort of in the realm of what's the difference between propaganda and just an argument, you know? My definition of propaganda, Carlos, is basically ritualized public behavior, like a performance of ritual public political behavior. The ads in my videos push propaganda. Oh yeah, for sure. Hi, Dylan. Yeah, an analysis is not propaganda, but an analysis can exist within a propagandistic setting. An analysis as a medium to critique an idea is propaganda. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna run past this thing again. Where am I? Oh, okay. No, I hate it! Oh! Alright. Hold your nose. Shit! Shit! Fuck! Nah! Ah! Ah! I hate it! Ah! My God! Ah! I need a weapon! Oh my God! Fuck! Jesus Christ! God damn it! God, no! No. I just want a weapon. Oh God, I bet the game's gonna crash soon too. Please let there be a weapon somewhere in here. Hampton? I'm gonna hear it again? Jeez. Propaganda is an instantiation of ritualized political behavior. It's publicly performed like any other ritual, and its job is to set a rhetorical rhythm by which every form of rhetoric in a society must then define itself against. That's the goal of propaganda. The way it works is by appealing to a particular kind of emotional impulse we have that wishes to that's sort of like clumsy, crass way to say it is follow the crowd, but I really do prefer the analogy of music and dancing as because I don't want to imply that ritual is a bad thing. You know what I mean? The ritual impulse in humans is a good thing. It's good that we, perform our metaphysical existence to each other. It's important. ChatGPT has prompt. Okay. I just want a weapon. That's all. Just an iron bar or something. Maybe a knife. Ah! No! Ah! Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. Yeah! Ah! Sorry, everybody who's just able to listen. Oh my God! Jesus fucking Christ. Where? How am I gonna get another weapon? What am I gonna do? Ugh. No. I don't even know how to get out of the house now. I'm flustered. Kitchen knife. Yes. Okay. Ah! Ugh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. God. Propaganda works in a similar way as genre in music. That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, I think so. Because what a genre does is like set expectations for how future like iterations of the information, the rhythm you're receiving is going to look. Yeah, I think that's a really great way to put it. If I ever write this paper, I'll cite you properly. Custodian's entire town has so much. It's a chair leg I can borrow. Okay. Okay, how did I even get in here? And can I get out? Ideas are open source. Yeah, sorry for how inarticulate I am, I guess, when I when I'm screaming in terror. Okay. Maybe I came in through the lower floor? Nah! Okay. Let's try it. Monsters are getting creepier. I like this thing. Although it is dolls, technically, which... But I like how it moves. And I like that thing that was chasing me in here. I thought that one was good, too. Ooh. Yikes. Keep away from that. Ew. Gross. Ugh, the music's getting scarier. Hey. Ah, fuck you. Okay. There goes all my pain meds. Goodness. Hi. Ah! No, where is it? No. Ugh, I need a break. It's propaganda, a genre of narrative. Ooh, interesting. Does it have narrative beats or central themes? No. Only within the confines of the particular genre. It's like obviously once the no, propaganda is not a genre of narrative. It's a genre of ritual. And ritual often incorporates narrative, but just as often is like a rejection of narrative, you know. A narrative ritual would be something like communion, you know, where we're like invoking the Last Supper as a story or as a beat in a story, you know. A narrative ritual would also be like the really anything that that Soviet Russia produced, that were like invoking the narrative drama of the you know, eternal revolution or whatever. But a rain dance is not a narrative ritual. I don't think. You're worried that your ritual model of propaganda comes off as egalitarian. Modern propaganda is highly asymmetric. Say more about that. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. I mean, in some way, it's kind of designed to be egalitarian. I don't want, like partisan inflections in my definition of propaganda. That's counter to the point of an academic study. But I would say that propaganda is almost by necessity asymmetric. Like either you're speaking to the status quo and therefore have very little power, or you already have the status quo and you therefore have a lot of power. Okay, good. I'm glad this is amusing for you people. Ain't propaganda supposed to be maximum reach, minimum cost? I don't know about that. I'd say that a lot of like a lot of leftist propaganda is kind of minimum reach, maximum cost. There's a lot of, propaganda of action, of words, of writing that like explicitly, like, how about something like AI, outspokenly refusing to use AI is probably a form of propaganda. I'd call it more costly than just using AI. But maybe then we're talking about like a different framework, contracting the thing we're analyzing a little bit. I don't know. No subtext or themes. Yeah. Silent Hill, famously transparent about what it's saying. Propaganda is a ritual choreographed by a powerful few, algorithmically, financially, politically, for mass audience to consume, not a ritual the crowd genuinely creates. No, I think, then we're getting into discussion of what genuineness is. How do we determine what a crowd genuinely creates? I certainly do not think that propaganda has to be choreographed by a powerful few. Absolutely not. Anytime there's a revolution, we ritually do things like, tear down monuments and statues. I do not think that that's a ritual choreographed by a powerful few. But it's definitely designed for a mass audience to consume, And I'd argue that in a lot of cases, that is a ritual that the crowd genuinely creates. We do that kind of thing because we want to delegitimize the previous form of government that we've just torn down. And that's a ritual. Okay. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Ugh. Okay. So I just had to get away from that thing making noises. Making weird, gross noises. At least I have a knife now. Oh, fuck! Ah! Shit! Jesus. Okay. Sweet. Level up. Oh god. Oh my god. Ah! Gonna lose my knife. Oh no. I've got one more hit in my knife. I don't have a replacement. Fuck. Oh my god. Oh, I don't like how it pants. Kind of seems like that's like a male predator sort of monster. That I find very scary indeed. Pretty well designed from what I saw. Sure, let's offer the kudzu tea. Actually, why bother? Look how much faith I already have. Yeah. Ooh. Slightly restores health after each successful counter. Oh, but I suck at counters. Do you think propaganda can be thought of as being on a spectrum? I think propaganda can be simultaneously other things at once, which I think is different from being on a spectrum. I don't think that, like, either something is a ritual or not, you know? And, like, a ritual can serve other purposes other than the ritual activity and the, like, social coherence it's supposed to be supporting. But I don't think something can be a little bit ritualistic or not. Either it is or it isn't. Wonder how propaganda endures and adapts to changing social conditions and technological advances. I think, like, this is why, I know I keep going back to this, but this is why I'm, like, kind of inspired and compelled by my ritual framework, because, like, there are literally thousands, potentially millions of rituals, potentially infinite permutations of ritual in, you know, all the possibilities of human organization that we have. And I think if that's the case, then it must be the same for propaganda. Doop 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 doop. Pray. Oh! Oh! Okay. I get it. Man, I should have looked at this first. Let's see. How much stuff do I have? We'll give it the kudzu tea. We'll give it the chocolate. And it can have one of these. I think that gets me to 500. Fuck's sake. There we go. Have some fucking corn puffs. Okay. Do I want more sanity, more health, or more stamina? What do we think? Health is my sort of go-to panicky choice. Just because it feels like it gives me more time. But stamina might be the better one? I don't know. Let's do health. Fuck it. My emotional support health bar. I have no idea if it is strategically sound, but it does make me feel better, which is a strategy in itself. Even similar ideologies attack each other through propaganda. Totally. Abso-fucking-lutely. Even, like, you know, I think anarchism is a pretty good illustration of all of this in action, because anarchism kind of defines itself against every authority, every hierarchy. And so when you see, like, oh, there they are, sweet, like, the punk aesthetic is anarchist propaganda. You know, Spider-Punk, everything Spider-Punk says in that movie, like, he's organizing his own presence in the world propagandistically. It just happens to be a lot of fun and the correct political ideology. Propaganda as a conduit or a vehicle. Yeah, sure. Like any other media. That's why it's called media. It's mediating interaction.
騙せてると思うひなこを
And ritual is also a medium.
遅かったな。心配したぜ。
It's how we're
心
mediating
配してなかったよ 相棒なら絶対に大丈夫って
and
言ってた
communicating social standards to each other
そうか
and embodying them into
あり
society,
がとう
legitimizing them through that embodiment. Because, you know, how can you deny your eyes? Okay. Does that mean I made it? No, of course not. Okay. We go this way. But everything I've just said over the past hour or so is like still pretty wishy-washy. I'm still working on it. So if you find some holes or some kind of logical inconsistency or something, let me know. Didn't like that noise. If I just go this... Shit. Nothing's easy in this game. I don't want to do this maze. Look at that. There's going to be something scary in there. And my knife is almost done. Use phrase stochastic terrorism. Yep, of course. Most consider it the end point of the ritual. When a leader weaponizes it, it invokes real-world violence and still maintain plausible deniability. Yeah, I think that's true. Propaganda's ritual framework is instantly intuitive. Thank you for the confirmation. I will listen to that opinion and none other. Yeah, I think it's intuitive also. I think that's part of what makes it useful, you know? And definitions should always be useful. Oh, we did it. All right. Let's see. This X. I wonder about this X. Seems like we shouldn't go that way. Seems like the X always means a roadblock of some kind. It seems like we should instead go straight and then left. More consequence of... Ooh, yay! Of something. Well, so is ritual. Ritual is always a consequence of something and engenders things. You know? Sweet! Alright, we're in good shape. I certainly don't think it's wrong to say that propaganda is a consequence of something. But yeah, I am interested to hear you articulate what that something is, if it ever occurs to you. Hampton, my friend. I want to save. I'm gonna save my game. Okay, am I insane? Did I... Okay, this is a dead end. Alright, guess we have to go back around. Propaganda is a means to an end. Then what is the end? Truth. Social cohesion, such that the truth you're propagandizing becomes the only available one. That's the goal. No matter what kind of ideology you subscribe to, that's always the goal. It's the why of propaganda. Yeah, I just said it. No. Okay, yeah. So this is a good thing to articulate, I guess. the impulse to perform is the fuel for ritual as a human behavior. Yeah, but propaganda is specifically politicized. It is political ritual. It's meant to demonstrate a particular kind of political behavior that other people ought to subscribe to. How many seminars? Unfortunately, the last one was yesterday, so the next one won't be for another 2 weeks, and that's a shame because the last one yesterday was fun. It was good. Dr. Martin led it. It was his week, and he's had a lot more practice than either me or Bethany delivering lectures, so it was a very good conversation. And there was like an old cybernetics guy who knew Von Forrester in his school days and was like personal friends with him, and it was cool to listen to him talk. Yeah, it's just a nice, fun family time. Everybody's invited to the seminars. They are free. They are open to the public. If you want to join one, go to my Patreon. You don't have to pay me. They are free posts that will take you to the readings and to the Zoom link. So say we got the New Deal style reforms after the 2008 financial crash, would we still have gotten Trumpism? Is this an impossible and useless question? It might be an impossible and useless question. I don't know. I just don't know. It's plausible to imagine that it wouldn't. That Trumpism would not result from that. But it's also plausible that the overall culture of, like, you know, capitalist individualism or whatever would just override. It's, who knows? I don't like that I'm getting new music. That doesn't seem good to me. I invoke abolish ice like it's a spell. I think that much like I think adding more like sort of metaphysical analogy making to our political analysis is actually really useful, and a way in which we might sort of like call out the propaganda that we are currently engaged in a way that I think is really beneficial. That might change eventually, but for now I think it's actually really useful to talk about speech in terms of spell casting, you know, because it's like and similar for like propaganda as ritual kind of has that flavor to it, I think. And I think the reason this is all useful is because I think is again like kind of the fault of the Enlightenment. I think that we've gotten it into our heads that we're a lot more rational than we actually are, and that the things that we do are reflective of a material reality that can't be changed. And that's not the fucking case at all. That's propaganda. That's propaganda successfully enmeshed into society such that we cannot dance to a different rhythm, you know? And so I think like calling speech saying that you invoke abolish ice like it's a spell, I think is an acknowledgement of abolish ice as something that doesn't have material reality and that is only given material reality by the will of the people willing to enact it, which is of course the only way any kind of political change happens. So is propaganda an existential fight against development? I'm gonna say no. Maybe you can specify further though. I don't know. Trump is rage baiting his way into a civil war that will erupt into a world war. Yup. No notes there. Ooh. Ah! Fuck you! Oh! Oh my god. Oh, gross. Ugh. Ah! 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 Oh, God. Oh, disgusting. God. Sorry, I keep having to pause for the chat. It's a real yappy kind of stream today. Do you mean to make your definition of propaganda agnostic to epistemology? Kinda, yeah. If a public ritual uses verifiable facts and sound logic, is it still propaganda? Yes. Yes, that's kind of central to the point that I'm trying to make with this definition and the sort of the parts about defining propaganda that tends to trip people up. If you're using verifiable facts and sound logic, but you're still wrapping that fact and logic in a public ritual, a ritual performance, then it's still propaganda, yeah. Ooh, this username does not exist. Very nice. Do I know you? Have you been here before? The seminar thing I mentioned. So me and one of my, what are they called? Fuck. One of my committee members, in the anthropology department, and another third grad student who's doing her PhD in, I think, the history of science. We're putting together, we're designing a graduate course basically that is a history of anthropology through a history of media. So like how do human beings, how have human beings in the past narrativized and mediated our understanding of what it means to be human, which is of course anthropology. So we're sort of alternating weeks for who's going to do this. We're like sort of, this seminar is like a test run for that, for the syllabus for that class. And so every other week, every other Wednesday, we host a Zoom meeting and one of us does a lecture and we chat about it. Yeah. Have we stopped to read the journal for these monsters? No, let's do it now. As I said, you can go to my Patreon and I have more information about it there. That's where I post, I'll like announce the readings when they're set, and post a box link and a Zoom link, and you don't have to pay me for that. You don't have to sign up for Patreon just to get that. Those are free. Is it Fogtown? Must be, yeah. Moving Scarecrow. Jobless ideas. Yep, there it is. Gross. Particularly suspicious monster that walks around on all fours. Greedily staring eyes. I don't see any eyes, but I'll accept it. Greasy palms. Ooh, yeah, gross. What's more, it never even bothers with guys. Typical. Face, two faces, three faces. They seem to know me. Oof. Violating the peace and quiet of wherever it goes. History of science from the perspective of the poor. That is an interesting idea. Yeah, interesting. I would bet that there's quite a few Latin American studies that would fit with that. Many of them theological. A bunch of liberation theologians, I'm sure, and labor economists and the like. There's one that I know of whose name I can't fucking remember, so I'll stop talking about it. Maybe the anti-science people are holding on to cultural values imbued in proto-scientific practices. I think that's the case sometimes. I think that's often why like weird alternative health shit gets wrapped up into fascism, because they're, you know, they're typically trying to like reconstruct some great past where, oh, we were just so in tune with our bodies, you know. And then modern science came and ruined it all. But also, we don't want to be a third world country. Those people are dirty and bad and gross and savages. So we need to create some kind of new new kind of health. Step, step. Step, step. Ugh. My knife's gonna break again. Oh, I know. I know. Beyond the conspiracy and the lower classes' interaction with science. Yeah, 100%. And I certainly don't mean to say that, like, you know, Western science is the be-all and like, this is a conversation that we've just starting to have in modern human society, global civilization, what have you. I don't know. If anybody, I haven't read a whole lot into health anthropology, but it's a really, really interesting field. And I have read one awesome book called The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down that I would recommend to everybody. It's super accessible. It's not like a, you know, a textbook or anything. But it's about this Hmong family in the Central Valley in California, who's one of their the Hmong are sort of like nomadic indigenous people from the like Laos, Vietnam kind of area. They fought on the American side in the Vietnam War because the Vietnamese, the Hmong are just kind of like badasses and hate being told what to do. And so it was not a terribly difficult thing to get them to reject communism, state communism, you know. But then after Vietnam, a bunch of Hmong refugees went to America, and of course were just like absolutely culturally rejected there because they were, you know, like subsistence hill people, and American society didn't like that. And you know, I don't know, there's a whole political history of how they incorporated themselves into American society or didn't, as the case may be. So it's about this family who has like 9 kids, crazy kids, and one of them has severe epilepsy, and it's the story of their interaction with the American healthcare system, and how and vice versa, and the ways in which the communication between those two entities was just like so how culture is just such a kind of like an impassable roadblock for either of these two entities to understand each other. It's very sad, but very, very good story. Strong recommend. Do we philosophize our way out of being human and into being soulless and without identity? Yes. I'm gonna say yes. Yeah. Yep. And Fadiman, yes. Is advertising propaganda? No. Advertising, the reason advertising is not propaganda is because you know who it's coming from and you know why they're telling you this. But like everything that we've been talking about, advertising can exist within a propagandistic setting. I would say that advertising very much exists within the propagandistic setting of consumer capitalism, you know. So it's not just buy this thing because it'll be useful for you. It's buy this thing so that you can define your identity based on buying stuff. Or, you know, more applicably in like the modern era, buy this thing so that you can take a photo of yourself with this thing on Instagram. Oh no, Pair of Salamanca. Oh, I love your profile photo. That's Ursula Vernon. I fucked with her stuff heavy when she was on DeviantArt. Incredible artist. Yeah, advertising is capitalist propaganda. here? Nothing? Sure wish I had another weapon. Can I go over here? Yes, I can. Chocolate! Chocolate! I remember when they first invented chocolate. I'm going to rewatch Hereditary this weekend. Good movie. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen Midsummer, no? That's my favorite. Advertising has become a pollution of the mimetic space. That's an interesting way to say it. Yeah, mimesis is understudied, and I think a lot of what we're seeing now is a kind of a result of that lack of study. That we don't know where mimesis stops or starts, or whether it's good or bad, and because of that, it can just be like, you know, like the right invokes it all the time when they talk about like social contagion and the woke mind virus. Like they're making some kind of appeal to mimetic theory that is dubious at best. My fists can be weapons. Is that true? I don't think it is. Oh! Oh no! Shit. Okay, this is fine. It's fine. Fuck you. Okay. So we need to go left here. What about emergent grassroots rituals that no single entity meant to create, but which still function as propaganda? For example, the sharing of BLM hashtag, an organic political performance. Well, what about it? Yes, it's still propaganda. What do you think about the connection of war and parental abuse? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that one alone because I don't know. It's never occurred to me to think about it. It makes sense. It is interesting to think about. I should like to study it in the future, but I don't know. Okay. Go back up these stairs. Noticing my profile picture is an Ursula Vernon art thing saves me from having to explain my username. Hey. Do what I can. Yeah, the biting pear of Salamanca. Her humor is just so lovely. It's so clean, you know? But genuinely hilarious. I wonder what she's up to now. Do you happen to know? Pear of Salamanca? What's Ursula Vernon doing? I haven't checked up on her in like 15 years. Like, I know she she wrote a kid's book. I wonder if she's written more. Revolving lantern, picture silhouette. Hang on. Boop, boo, doo, 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 doo. Okay. Women in unlucky ages. What does that mean? She won the Hugo again? Oh, yay! Good. I'm gonna have to look her up and see what she's been making in the past decade and a half. Man, DeviantArt was so cool. I wonder if it is still cool. I'm so lucky to have grown up in the age of the pro-social internet.
やめてくれ。そんな話今はしたくない。
やめないよ。柊君がしっかりと現実を見るまでやめない。
だからやめてくれ。俺は
なら言ってあげる。ひな子はね、死んだんだよ。ひな子は向こうの世界で楽しくやっているんだから。
相棒遅かったな。さあ行こうぜ。
Shit, I was looking at the... Fuck. I was looking at the chat. What did he say? He said, hey, partner. Did he just, like, say, oh, come along now? Is that what happened? Alice Miller. She's a psychologist that advocated for children who married a Nazi and ended up being her son's abuse. Whoa! Okay, 1 second. Time to pull up another tab. Boop, 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 do, 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 do. The subject of, like, abuse and why people do that is deeply, deeply interesting to me. I've got a couple pretty gnarly textbooks about it. It's fucked up shit to think about. It requires sort of a, you know, drip acclimation. DeviantArt had high highs and low lows. Reason some people shiver when they think of some of this shit on DeviantArt. Yeah, honest but still bad. Hi, Spooky Teeths.
Kagiがかかってる。昔はなかったのに。
鍵は学校にあるはずだ。
ちょっと休憩しようよ。もうダメ。しばらく休ませて。
相棒も疲れただろう。休んでてくれ。俺は鍵を探してくる。
わかった。
柊君が一緒じゃないと嫌だよ。心細いよ。お願い、一緒にいて。
Hi, Katie.
別に俺が一緒じゃなくて
相
も。
棒も少し休め。鍵は私が探す。
そうだよ。柊君はずっと戦闘で頑張ってたんだから、後からついてくるだけだったひな子の方が余裕あるって。
おい、そんな言い方をするなよ。
私は気にしない。二人とも休んでてくれ。行ってくる。
Kitty, kitty. Great. Gonna be freaky shit in here. Zaums or whatever Estonian randos is wearing a skin. Second game they announced. I haven't heard of it. It's not the kind of thing I happen to keep tabs on.
卒業以来だな。
Maybe I will look it up and form an opinion. Zero Parades. Pretty good title. I need a weapon. Let's try every door. Get me a weapon. Hmm.
Keybox が開かない。
Keys. Ugh.
いる。
Everybody be locking shit. Vice principal is so paranoid that about his keys that he always takes them with him whenever he leaves. It's kind of ironic that he lost the keys to the stairwell. He's looking for them frantically like a madman. He had the nerve to ask me to help find them, but I'm the one who needs help with this pile of paperwork I have.
使えるものはないか。
Boo. Yay! Oops. There we go. Anything on this side? Seems like there might be something in one of these here boxes, right? Boop, 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 boop. Great. Oh. Okay. Okay. So we need to be looking for a combination. And at least 2 keys. What would you do to make pre-college education better in the US? Good question. I hesitate to say so, but I kind of... Ooh, oh my god. I kind of feel like we sort of need to, like, redesign education from the bottom up, unfortunately. It just kind of seems like what we're doing now, where education is just kind of like built to produce a bunch of middle managers, is not really working. I don't know. I'm interested in systems that do things like what? No. Whatever. Like if we had a sort of you know, basic knowledge system or whatever, and then you know, like everybody learns to read, everybody learns what numbers are, you know, everybody learns basic math and that kind of thing. And then oops, sorry Rita. And then literally everything else was elective, and it's just like, hey kid, go out and find your own and like if like at least half of our public school curriculum could be basically independent study, and it's up to the kid to figure out what they like and go kind of like make the case, argue for you know, this thing as constituting individual study. I think that'd be neat. But I'm not an education expert, so took You're writing as material for teaching English? Oh my god. That's extremely flattering. Separate education from work training would help. Yep. Buy as much of that mountain's land as you can. Borrow money if you must, for it will surely bring you great wealth. Shortly thereafter, the country commenced their dam construction plan, and the mountain Mr. Yoneda had purchased was indeed a boon. He spent every last yen he earned on his hometown of Ebisugaoka. One result of his generosity was the Ebisugaoka Middle School. Mr. Yoneda donated the Inari statue and housed it inside the small shrine seen on school grounds as his way of saying thanks to the fox that blessed him. Kind of seems like maybe I'm supposed to go out that window, but I'm afraid that if I do, I won't be able to come back in. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, my meeting is here. Okay, I need to leave. We'll do this Monday and figure out whatever's breathing. We'll go and meet it next time. All right. Bye-bye. Financial literacy, civics, and mechanics should be mandatory. Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. All right. Bye-bye.